Hey, VC, there we go. Welcome to, it's not Thursday night, it's Wednesday night. That's our new ritual. We got into a Wednesday night groove. So we could all see Aaron hungover from his Tipsy Tuesday, I think. But we have with us, as part of our roundtable discussion tonight, we got Aaron Mutha Alamere. We have Chris Profi, Physical Format Rock and Roll. And we have Gary, Musically Obsessed.
Hey.
All right. Well, we are here tonight to talk about the best concert we've ever seen, the worst concert we've ever seen, and the first concert we've ever seen. So it kind of rhymes in a way. But we're going to start with the first concert we ever saw in a live type setting. So Aaron, do you want to get us started off with the first concert little Aaron ever attended?
Yeah, well, I was always like Chris, obsessed with music, even when I was a kid. So when I was, I think 13 or 14, I don't know which year it was that I saw this concert. It was either 83 or 84. My dad took me to see a concert for my first one. And it wasn't a heavy metal concert, but it was a really popular act at that time. And it was for this tour for right here, for Huey, Lewis and the News for sports. And they played in my hometown. It's they have an arena where the university has a football games, and it was called the Mini Dome back then. It's called Holt Arena now, but back then it was called the Mini Dome. And it was in there, and we had floor seats. We were down on the floor. And it was really cool. I think the opening band was John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band, but I can't remember exactly. I was pretty young, but I
Were
think
you
that's
drunk?
what,
You sure it wasn't
no.
Eddie and the
I didn't
you
start
sure-
drinking for a couple of years after that.
You sure it wasn't Eddie and the Cruisers?
Well, they
I
didn't
don't
do
think-
anything from them. I think it was them.
Yeah,
I don't think you can say Beaver anymore either. So
Well, and who's
Yeah.
and
I think that's who opened for them, but that might have been actually who opened for my second. I can't remember. It was, but I know I saw them in one of my first two concerts, and they were all right. You know, just like a typical band going out and just playing, no staging, no lights, nothing like that really. And then Huey Lewis came out, and I'd never seen a concert, so I didn't know what to expect, and I was really excited. And it all went black, I remember, and then they started doing this red, like, beating heart thing going. Started with the Heart of Rock and Roll. And I thought that was really cool, young. And, you know, they were really good live, actually.
was Huey wearing his assless chaps?
Yeah, he was doing his David Lee Roth impression, you know, jumping and doing the high kicks. And no.
Yeah.
They did do an a cappella song that was really cool. And they were really good live, actually. I liked it. It was a good show. They were pretty good.
Yeah,
It was a good first experience. Maybe you want to see more, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I was distracted by the goddamn Obi strip on their Huey Lewis and the News Sports album.
Yeah, I didn't see him in.
Yeah, like who has that? Who of all
Yeah.
albums have an Obi strip on? That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it sounds good too. I like this album. I actually
Yeah.
like his one of this almost as much though. Picture this. I like that one a lot too. I still like Huey Lewis.
Do you
I
have
like the
a
album
Mo5?
that followed that too. Four is really good.
Yeah, it's all right, but I prefer this one. And four is good too, and his first one's all right too.
Yeah,
But I have all four of those.
nice.
Yeah, well, there, you know, Huey Lewis's first four albums are as good as Van Halen's.
Yeah,
I wouldn't go that far, but you know, maybe Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones. But Van Halen, no way, man.
Yeah, all right.
No,
right,
he was good for what he did.
Aaron.
He was really good. I still like Huey Lewis.
Well, we'll do it next week. We'll do a Huey Lewis, our top 10 Huey Lewis.
I love
could do that.
Huey Lewis. Yeah,
I did good.
Taking what
No, I
they
like-
give
I like-
because I'm working for a living.
I'm happy to be stuck on you. I can see,
I can't see.
that you're happy to be stuck with me.
Now, if we do that, we all got to be like buried up to our necks in the sand, though.
And just our heads
Yeah.
gone.
That was the video for that. They were all buried and they had just their heads up.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was one of the most iconic MTV moments ever.
Was it that video? It might have been. I
Yeah,
thought it was that one.
I don't know. This is turning into a Huey Lewis video.
No, that was If This Is It. Never mind.
If this is
Oh.
it,
That was If This Is It.
Please let me know.
All right,
I'm really-
Chris, we need to do a palate cleanser from Aaron's pick already.
Yeah, my first concert's a little cooler than.
Well, concert, man. I love that.
I'm kidding. That is cool that you have a Japanese pressing of sports stuff.
It's a great album. I don't care what anyone says. I love that record.
The only
Yeah.
way it could ever be cooler is if your first concert was Men at Work, Chris.
Well, no, my first concert, it was 1988. I was 14 years old, and it was Poison and Tesla.
ooh,
It was a great concert, and I believe that Tesla opened for Poison, and it was for the Open Up and Say Ah tour. And the big hit I remember was Every Rose Has Its Thorn. And Bret Michaels came out with just his acoustic guitar. And it was my first concert. So the lights were like shining and they were like reflecting off the guitar. And I just remember all the reflections and lights going all over the place. It was such a cool experience. And to see and hear Bret Michaels sing Every Rose Has Its Thorn live was awesome. I remember getting the t-shirt. And I think I still have the t-shirt, actually. I should probably dig that out for you guys. It doesn't fit, but
oh, come on.
no. And Tesla, I'm trying to think. It must have been for the Mechanical Resonance album. I think. But
I think it would be.
Little bit. Mercy.
that came out in 87, I think, didn't it?
Which one? Great Radio or?
Oh, it was or Mechanical.
Cool.
I thought that
Was that?
It might have been. I can
I don't
look.
know. Whatever. It was
There
Tesla.
goes.
I just lost 3 subscribers. But no, for a first concert, in 88, Poison Tesla was awesome.
It says. Oh, I don't know.
That's I think it's cool, but somewhat disappointing. I was hoping you were going to say, you saw Bananarama and
No.
Night Ranger or something like that. But no,
Well,
Samantha Fox.
I have
Yeah.
seen Bette Midler live.
It would have been
Not
this.
surprised.
Yeah, Mechanical Resonance. All right, awesome.
That was 89. So
Okay.
it was for this one.
Yeah, I've seen Bette Midler live. That was not a really cool concert.
Was
You
it?
still have that
the
t-shirt?
houses?
I don't have a t-shirt, no.
Nobody was wearing shirts at that concert.
Well, here's what makes it even less cool. I went with my parents too. Mom and Dad took me to see Bette Midler. Really? It was actually a pretty good concert though, so
Well, she can sing.
she can.
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
Well, you guys are the wind beneath my wings, so
All right. Are you done? Or
Yeah. Yeah.
did you want to? Okay. My first concert was 40 years ago this summer. It happened at the last minute. Basically, I was friends with a guy that was a grade older than me, and he had a group that was going to this concert. Somebody couldn't go last minute, so they called me. Hey, do you want to go tomorrow? At the time, I was working as a carry out in the grocery store. Had to rearrange my schedule. Asked my dad. I still remember being on the phone with. I was at home there and I was talking to my friend, and I asked my dad, I said, hey, can I go see this concert tomorrow in Dayton? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, I don't know. He said, are they going to be drinking beer? He said, and I said, I don't know. I go, are we going to be drinking beer? And he goes, no. Of course we did. But anyway, the concert was Ted Nugent.
nice.
That was my first concert. Even, what's funny is even at this time period, that long ago, Ted was still popular, but his star was already kind of going down a bit. He had that horrible album, Intensities in 10 Cities, which I don't know. I just think that's kind of a silly album. But anyway, he was touring off of that. But the fact that I'd never been to a concert, I was so excited when the music finally started. I remember I was so stupid. I wore a shirt like that had a collar on it, kind of thing, you know, because and my everybody I went with are like, "What are you wearing? You're gonna get beat up at this concert."
Did you have corduroy pants on?
No.
Or assless chaps?
No. But it was it was a general admission show, so we waited in the parking lot all freaking day long, you know, out there in the summer heat. Finally got in, you know, ran up, got a spot and everything, and it was awesome. Now back then, I know Ted Nugent's an asshole now, but at that time, he never mentioned anything about politics. I don't even really remember him talking about hunting. It was all just about certain parts of a woman and rock and roll. And that's all he talked about. You know, the rest of it was just singing and jamming on a guitar. And it was just so loud. I remember like just jumping up and down, like pogoing, just because I was so excited. And people were throwing things at the back of my head because I was doing that. But it was a great show. It was a great time. Ted Nugent.
Nice.
Seen him a couple of times. He's good live.
Yeah, he is. Unfortunately, he can't keep his mouth shut now. When he plays live, like the last time that I saw him with my oldest son, he started on some kind of rant, and he's got all these people that go see him now that I don't even think they like half of his music or know it. They're just there to hear him go on his political rants, you know, and I hate that because I love all that early Ted Nugent stuff. I mean, I think Ted Nugent's the Ted Nugent album when he wasn't Amboy Dukes anymore, the first Ted Nugent album, is one of the best rock and roll albums, I mean, of the 70s. It's a great freaking album from top to bottom. And it's just a shame that he has kind of become a punchline in a way, because he can still do it live, you know.
Well, I mean, he's no Huey Lewis.
He is not. Hey, I saw Huey Lewis on the tour before that one, before that album, when he just had the first album out. And that was
opening. He was probably the opening act. Saw him then, right?
No, he was the
Really?
main act because it was my when you would go down for grad night at there's an amusement park here in Cincinnati called Kings Island, and they always have grad night where all the seniors go down and they have a band there. Well, it was Huey Lewis was the band, so
Nice.
free show. It was fun. Anyway, that's it.
Very cool. Well, my first concert was at the Royal Oak Music Theater, and it was a band called Striper. It was 1985. I think it was when their Soldiers Under Command album had just come out. Small little venue that I saw them at. It was with like our church youth group, you know, because they were considered, they're an acceptable heavy metal band because they sing Jesus. So we went, and you know, it was cool seeing them all in their black and yellow attire.
Did they throw Bibles out at the audience?
I don't remember. I don't know. I already had a Bible, so if they did, I was like, no thanks. I'll give it to somebody who doesn't have one. But yeah, there you go. Yep, with a Bible verse and everything. Yep, totally. And the Striper mobile on the front.
Yeah.
It's the version of the Batmobile, isn't it?
Yeah.
Striper rules.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was so badass when I was going to see that concert, you know. It's like
Striper.
To hell with the devil.
Can't do that. Sorry. Yeah. Striper. Yeah. But
777.
that's right. Isaiah 53, whatever. I don't know. Whatever you shouted at a striper contest, but we smoked pot in the parking lot ahead of time, like 15 years old, and yeah. So it was, I don't know, what can I say about it? I was like 15 at the time, and it was like,
that's a cool concert.
Wow. Well, yeah, because it's like your first concert, like, oh wow, I've never heard anything this loud or anything that cool before. So it was definitely an eye-opening experience. But I would have loved to see Huey Lewis back in the day as well. But
do you guys remember when you saw that your first concert, like how you could like feel the bass, everything like thumping up against you, and you're like, oh my God, it just seemed like so amazing. I remember that feeling, that loud and everything.
I love seeing the women walk around scantily clad,
I never noticed those things.
As a 14-year-old boy,
we're there for the music. We're there
as
for
a
the
46-year-old man, I still notice it too, Now, were there scantily clad women at the Huey Lewis concert?
There was a few.
Nice.
Actually, I think there was.
On stage, yeah, probably. In the cages, yeah. All right. Well, so now we've done our concert. Now we're gonna do our worst concert. Aaron, what is the worst concert you've ever been to? And it doesn't necessarily have to be because the band played badly or something. I mean, it could be because I was so wasted, I don't remember any of it, or it could be any number of things. But
I always got wasted at them, but I remember them all. I never got to that point. I was always but mine is by one of my favorite bands, my worst concert, because where they were playing, I went down to Salt Lake City to see them, and it was a place called the Delta Center where the Utah Jazz play. And they used to have a place called the Salt Palace where they played before that, and they had great concerts there, amazing sound, but it's like a bowl, and so it echoes. So the whole time playing, and it was for this record here, Metallica on the Black Album tour, it took me till the end of each song to figure out what song they were playing, because it was echoing out in there. It wasn't really the band's fault, just the venue. And I saw Metallica on this tour here for the Injustice for All with Queensryche, and that was at the Salt Palace, which they tore down to make the Delta Center. And that was amazing. They sounded amazing there. I saw them in the Kingdom with Guns N' Roses. That was a great concert. They sounded great there. It was just on this tour, this specific concert. I mean, I know all the Metallica songs like the back of my head, and I was like, what are they playing? I couldn't figure out what songs they were playing. So it was really frustrating watching them.
Yeah.
And by the end, that's Creeping Death, because they're doing the chant. It took them to figure it out. They played a great set, great songs, but I couldn't understand them. So that was the worst concert I've been to.
All right, Chris, what's yours?
Well, I was trying to think because I haven't really seen a bad concert. I mean, I can't even think of what a bad concert would be, but I picked a time that I took my kids to see the Wiggles. I don't know if you guys know who the Wiggles are. They're like a children's.
I actually saw the Wiggles 2 years ago.
Yeah, but then I was thinking, no, I actually kind of like that concert. That was good.
Well, I went by myself. And I got first row tickets.
Yeah.
I got
Were you wearing pants?
I was wearing pants. I was not wearing. Well, I started out wearing a shirt, but by the end of the concert, I was not wearing a shirt. And but we'll talk about that one later because that was my favorite concert. But
so yeah, I mean, anyways, I liked the Wiggles concert. It was good. So I'm gonna go with a concert where the weather was not so great. So it sort of, kind of was tough to enjoy the concert. I was seeing Willie Nelson which was, I mean, talk about a cool guy to see. But it freaking rained the whole time. It was an outside concert and we didn't have umbrellas or anything. So we ended up leaving early because we were getting freaking just drenched in rain. So it was really difficult to enjoy the concert when you're getting pelted with raindrops. And so, I mean, again, Willie Nelson's awesome, but the weather sort of made it my worst concert.
There's a trick to that. When you get a lot of rain on you, just start headbanging. It gets all the rain off really quick.
It's hard to headbang to Willie Nelson, though.
Yeah.
You were always
Road
on
again.
my mind. You were always on my mind. Yeah, you were always on my mind. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
I still think it works.
That hurts.
Yeah, they think you're a little weird if you were doing that at a Willie Nelson concert, but
Yeah. Play on the road again.
play Willie Nelson by Clutch.
Yeah.
That would be
Gary,
weird.
what's your worst?
Okay, well, one of the ones I'm not picking this as my worst, but when Aaron was talking about sound, I remember when I saw the Black Crowes and their sound was just horrid. And I was so disappointed in that. I understand what you mean, Aaron. You can't even really enjoy it. But there's shows I've been to where maybe I'm going with somebody and it was their pick of who they wanted to see. But so, I'm not going to really pick one of those. What I did pick kind of goes along with our friend Chris here. I went for Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
Because I love Waylon Jennings, actually. If you've watched some of my videos, you know that. And I finally got to see him sometime in the 90s. I'm not sure when the year was. And he was playing at a place that was only like, I don't know, maybe 35 miles from me. So I was pretty excited to see it. But it was one of those shows where he just seemed to kind of walk through the numbers. He did what I had so many Waylon Jennings CDs and cassettes at that time, but yet somehow he managed to do quite a lot of songs that I didn't even know. And I was very surprised at that. I'm like, where the hell are these songs coming from? Because I've been buying, anytime he put out a new album at that time, I was buying it. I had his old greatest hits, and a few other things, but yet somehow he was pulling out these other ones. The sound wasn't the best. When he talked, a lot of times it was kind of almost mumbling. And, there were a few moments every now and then he'd do a song, he'd do a good version of it. I love that. But for the most part, he just kind of walked through it. And I was just very disappointed to finally hear those songs live that I'd been hearing since, I was like in junior high. And to hear him just kind of half-assed do it was very, very disappointing. So I guess that's what I'm going to call my worst concert.
Did you still buy a t-shirt?
No, I did not. I don't even know. I can't remember if they sold them or not. Because I feel like I would have bought one if they did, but I don't know.
That reminds me, I saw George Jones live.
Did he make it?
He made it. That's a big concert right there, though.
I like some of those old country guys. Yeah, I saw the Highwaymen. So I've seen Willie Nelson. So I saw them all four together. And that's kind of a, like a Las Vegas type production. Everybody does a song and they've got like 20 band members behind them and everything. It's a little small. It's still cool, but yeah. I wanted to see them individually. Jeff.
Mine is a case of, like you were alluding to, Gary, when you've got a group of friends or there's some people who's like, hey, let's go see somebody. And you're like, no, let's not. And like, what are you gonna do? Because everybody's going. And you're like, all right, well, they're serving alcohol, so as long as there's that. But it's probably like 2013 or 2014. I saw Kid Rock at what used to be Pine Knob, what is now called
DTE
Theater. Yeah, and I am not a Kid Rock fan, but Kid Rock, because he's from Detroit, and there was a time where his star was ascending and everybody was into Kid Rock, and Kid Rock rules. And especially around here, you got a bunch of trailer trash people that are like, oh, Kid Rock, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I'll be at the bar if you need me. I don't know if I actually went to, I don't know if if we had seats. It might have been on the lawn, but not interested at all. It definitely lived down to my expectations. Do not care for that greasy mulleted motherfucker at all. And, glad I didn't pay too much for the ticket. I don't even know if I paid for the ticket on principle. But, just not my thing. But I went, and, not proud of it. Not here to say I'm glad I did, but just don't care at all. I recognize some of the songs, but it's just not my thing. I'm not into that whole, whatever you classify his brand of trailer trash, hillbilly rap, whatever the fuck that is, but it's not for me. So that's mine.
Nice.
I apologize to any Kid Rock fans out there.
Or anybody from Detroit.
What?
I was like, he apologizes to anybody from Detroit.
Yeah, I don't care.
The hillbillies.
I don't give a shit. I don't care for Kid Rock, whatever. So again, if you're offended because I ripped on Kid Rock, blow me. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Whatever. If you like Kid Rock, that's cool. I do not, but I'm sure you would have loved it if that's your thing. So anyway.
I love it.
All right, Aaron, now your very favorite concert of all.
I'm still trying to decide. I got two of them that are neck and neck. It's just so hard. Okay, I was going to go with I'll just say what it was. I was going to go with Kiss, Hot in the Shade with Slaughter, but I won't do that one. That's really close. But I'll go with this other one. And it was in Salt Lake, at a place called Salt Air, which is on the beach of the Great Salt Lake. So it's like a castle that has an outside area right on the lake, the sand and stuff. And then it just opens up and they play inside this castle looking thing. And it was called K-Bear. It's the radio station down there. There's the heavy metal station down in the early 2000s. No, it was in the early 90s is when I saw this. And it had 4 bands I absolutely loved at the time, and I still do. And then they had a local band named Lix Array, Lixx, Lix Array, that opened the show. And then in between, like when all the bands got done, in between them, they had a Hawaiian Tropic contest in between the bands playing, and they were serving beer. It was really cool. But the first band that played after Lix Array was this band. I only have the cassette. This is Tough. So Tough started it out, and they were really good live. And, everyone was in the middle of summer, and I was the only one with a black T-shirt on. And when they came up to the song, Good Guys Wear Black, he kept pointing down at me because I was the only one in there with a black shirt on. So I thought that was really cool. And I was, pounding beers and going crazy. And so that was really cool. Steve Rochelle was pointing me out. And so then after Tough played, they were great. After they played, these guys played. Dirty Look. So, and they were amazing live, and it was right after the 5 Easy Pieces album, which came after these two. So they were playing all their great stuff, and they just kicked ass. They were so killer live. I loved them. And then after them, it was Bang Tango.
Oh, so cool.
Bang Tango, to the last act, and they were great. And it was on the Dancing on Coal's album tour. So I played. It started with Attack of Life, and it was so heavy, and everyone was getting into it. And it was they were great live. Bang Tango was amazing. Joe Lestay is such a great singer.
Is that jazz fusion?
Yeah, jazz
Like
fusion.
smooth jazz.
Yeah.
Little country element too.
Okay, I might be thinking of Spyro Gyro. Never mind.
Well, Bang Tango opened up Weather Report.
Yeah, Bang Tango. All these bands are kind of like the heavy metal, sleaze metal type stuff that you call it. But then the headliners of it really surprised me because they were on their debut album and they headlined over all these bands. But in Salt Lake, this album, they played a couple songs on this. On the radio there all the time. So it was Wild Side, Front of the Influence was the headliner on this album. And they were great live. And they were just, I was like, why are they the headliner? I couldn't figure out. They played live and they were amazing. And it was just it was an all day thing. Started at like 11 o'clock and didn't get done until, 11 or 12. It was about a 12-hour ordeal, the whole thing. So it was a lot of fun. But that's probably my favorite just because there are so many great bands and the whole environment was really cool.
So that was almost like a festival then.
Yeah, it was. I forgot what they call it. They have a thing. They used to do a thing every summer where they put some bands together and have a thing like that. Yeah. But my favorite, like just concert for just an actual concert was Kiss Hot in the Shade. I loved that one. It was amazing. And Slaughter opened up on that. They were good live, so it was a good one. So that was my favorite.
Awesome, man. I would love to see Bang Tango.
Yeah, they were great. They were funky and metally and just really killer. All these bands sounded great too. They had killer sound, and it was just just a small. There was 500 people, maybe 1,000 there. So you get right up in front. It was just really. And then it all dissipate in between the bands. You get back and go up to the stage again. It was a lot of fun. How was the Hawaiian Tropic part of it? That was good too. It was good. But that's what made it. The whole experience was what was cool about it. So I was just asking for Chris. That's all. Yeah. No, it was all fun. It was just a great time then. Awesome. And I think I was 21 or 22, so just barely. It was a lot of fun. Went with my friends. Drove down. We were drunk before we got there. Were you singing? Oh yeah, I say conscious. I sing along to every damn word. Oh yeah, I sing too, man. Yep.
All right. Well, I've seen so many freaking great concerts. I mean, I was going to talk about when I saw Rush. I was going to talk about when I saw Mickey Dolenz and Mike Nesmith together, which was awesome. Or when I saw Kiss for the reunion tour when they first came around. But I'm going with, I saw Johnny Cash live in Niagara Falls. And he was on this stage that rotated and spun. And he was playing old videos of trains behind him. He had his wife, June Carter Cash, up there singing with him. His son came up and sang some songs with him. But I saw the legend Johnny Cash live, and that has got to be the best concert. He was awesome. He was in great voice. This is when he was touring, I believe, his second Rick Rubin album.
Oh, wow.
This is when Johnny Cash was becoming popular again. This is when he was becoming cool again. And it was cool to see a lot of young kids there singing along with his songs. So yeah, I can't believe that I saw Johnny Cash live, but that's got to be my best concert.
Now, did he do a lot of songs from those American recordings?
Yeah, he did. He did the Rusty Cage song. He did a song called Delia's Gone.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah, so he did and then he did the old standbys like Folsom Prison, Ring of Fire, those kind of things. It was just an amazing concert to see a legend like that. And, he was in good voice and he still had great stage presence. It was a great show.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So is Rush Cage, is that the Soundgarden song you did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, I was thinking too, I saw the Grateful Dead live as well, which was awesome. But whatever. I just mentioned about 5 concerts. I'm sorry.
You pulled an errand.
I did.
Well, it's a quick one, so we should all do that.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't, that's a bad thing because how I just talked about Waylon and how he kind of walked through it. And like, I feel like a lot of those older guys sometimes did that. That's why I was curious if Johnny Cash, since he was kind of having a revival there, if he was doing stuff. Because, sometimes I'm sure you guys have all done it. You go see an older act and they might have a new album out that you really like. And you're lucky if they play one song off of it because they just have to play all the old stuff. And I always hate that. I always want to hear, at least a couple songs off the new album.
Right.
Yeah.
No, you could tell he liked playing the new songs.
Yeah, I would have loved that. Like I said, I saw Johnny Cash in the Highwaymen, but that was before he started doing those American recordings. And I really wish I would have saw him during that time period you did. That would have been great. I'd have loved that.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, like you guys, I mean, I'm sure I could have named, 10 concerts and said, okay, this was my favorite concert and told you why. But I thought one of the ones that's always been my favorite concerts, and it's one of my real early concerts, and it's always stuck with me, was Van Halen on the Diver Down tour.
Nice.
I have seen so many concerts since then, but this one is just always going to be so special to me. And, now with Eddie gone, it's even that much more special to me. I was so excited when I saw this show because, like all you guys, I loved Van Halen, and to see him live like that at this time period, I feel like, if I would have seen him on any other period, maybe the Fair Warning tour I would pick. But beyond that, this was a perfect time to see him because they could do stuff off of here and all the albums before. And man, they were just on the top of their game at that time. And to see Eddie Van Halen live at that point, and you hadn't seen as much of him yet. You know what I mean? You had MTV, but MTV was still really young. And so, you see a lot of pictures of the band, but to see them live, and they were all very animated. And David Lee Roth was original. I saw him over in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the Coliseum over there. And once again, it was a general admission show. We were there all day, waiting in line. When the doors opened, oh my God, I remember just getting pressed up against the door and have to shove myself back into the crowd going in and just literally running for a spot. And, of course, Van Halen was known for having really shitty opening bands. And they did. They had, how Falco had that song, Der Commissaire, or whatever it was. Somebody else originally did that song too, like right before that.
After the fire.
That's who opened up. And, we're all there to see a hard rock band. And this band is playing. Everybody's like, what the fuck is this? Bring out Van Halen. Van Halen had bands that they just wanted you to go buy their T-shirts. And which I did. And it was just David Lee Roth. We always have this conversation about, well, who was better, David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar? Let me tell you, at that show, David Lee Roth was one of the best frontmans I have ever seen. He had that crowd in the palm of his hand. Man, is he the best singer ever? No. But man, he was so much fun to see live. and he had his assless chaps at the end of the show. He came out when they were doing their encore, and of course, she didn't know what he was wearing at first because you didn't have YouTube and all this stuff where you knew everything that was going to happen. And he turned around to the crowd and started shaking his butt. I lost it. I thought that was I thought, oh my God, this guy is so freaking hilarious. And but the chicks loved him. I mean, he could pull women out of the audience. He had all those lines that he used a million times, but I still remember him saying, something about there was somebody like with a fancy camera trying to take his picture, and he goes, well, this fucker down here keeps trying to get my picture. He goes, that's all right. He goes, I'm gonna fuck his girlfriend after this show. And just shit like that. And he could be so hilarious and just crack you up, and then they would just be badass, man, just going into a fantastic song. I remember Eddie, when he did his guitar solo, he was playing, he played Cathedral, which was awesome to hear that live. That was so cool. But when he's doing Eruption and he's mixing it in with other stuff, and he starts running around, and he would run back, and of course, they had this big stack of amps, and he would run up and kick them. He would jump up and kick them, and they would go back like this, and he'd play, and he'd run back up, and he'd jump, and he'd kick them again. Everybody, I mean, Michael Anthony was so cool. I do remember, though, Alex Van Halen was doing a drum solo, and when he got to a part where like he was doing a little prattle there, he was playing the snare, and then after he's doing that, he was going across on all the toms, but you could still hear the snare going, and I'm like, what the hell is that? So he obviously had some trickery going on there for his drum solo. But beyond that, I mean, it was great. He did the whole thing where he hits the gong behind him, lights the fire, and look, they had a great light show and everything. It was just, when you're that age and you see Van Halen live, I mean, God, you just couldn't ask for a better concert. Middle of the summer, fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's this Van Halen magazine that I bought in an airport a couple of weeks ago, and it shows the exact what you're talking about with Eddie, like running up on the amps and like jumping, like kicking the amps and that. So I know exactly what you're talking about, but yeah, that had to have been very cool. Yeah.
I love how you mentioned Falco.
Well, they're slightly cooler than After the Fire, but
don't turn around.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
All right. So my favorite concert, it was not Genesis at Joe Louis Arena in 1986.
Oh,
No,
wow.
It was not. Though that was very close. It was not Depeche Mode on the Songs of Faith and Devotion tour from 1994, though that was very close. It is actually Paul McCartney when I saw him at Comerica Park in 2011. Absolutely incredible. And considering Paul McCartney's age, I mean, he's old now, but he was still old then. He played for 3.5 hours,
Wow.
to 4 hours, and there was not a single moment where it was like, oh, well, I don't know that song. I have no idea what song he's playing now. I mean, it was hit after hit. He played songs by the Beatles. He played songs by Wings. He played his solo stuff. And it sounded fantastic. And considering it was in a baseball stadium, I mean, he was so far away just because of how the seats were, because so many people wanted to come and see him. It was just an enormous crowd, but he killed it. And he had so much energy, and still it was like after the third hour, you're like, and he's still playing. And I mean, it was like, talk about your, value for the money. It seemed like he was going to go on for really like 4 hours. It was such a long concert, and it was just everything that you wanted to hear, all like great Beatle classics, You know, they did A Day in the Life even, right into Give Peace a Chance. You know, a lot of like Wing stuff, you know, Live and Let Die with fireworks and everything. I mean, it was just such an amazing concert. And I had seen him, actually, I saw him in, this would have been 1993. I saw him at Pontiac Silverdome on his Off the Ground tour. And it just wasn't the same. I don't know. He didn't play as long. The Silverdome is not a great place to see a concert, but you know, this time it was just one of those. And I brought my wife, and you know, she was kind of a marginal, you know, Paul McCartney Beatles fan, and even she was blown away. Like, this is the best concert I've ever seen. It was just so great. The band was fantastic. You know, for me being a huge Beatles fan, I mean, it was everything that I had ever wanted out of a concert. But hands down, it was the best that I've ever seen. And I've even saw Ringo Starr in 2003 and his all-star band. I don't remember who was even in the all-star band at that time, but you know, anyway, it's very cool. Anytime you see one of your, you know, idols, living legends like that, it's just so cool. Just even being in the same, you know, vicinity as somebody that cool, all the history there. You know, probably the next coolest one is I saw Bob Dylan with Wilco and My Morning Jacket opening for him. And it's funny because that was almost my worst concert, because with Bob Dylan, and if you know anything about Bob Dylan, you know, he plays his songs so many different ways, and they're not at all like you hear on the record. So he's into a song like 3 minutes down the, you know, 3 minutes into the song, you're realizing like, oh, wait a minute, that's stuck inside of Memphis with the Mobile Blues again. Or, yeah, I mean, you're like, oh, wait a minute, that's you know, like a Rolling Stone. I didn't realize, because the arrangements are so different. And he just kind of had this almost like kind of a jazzy arrangement. It was right after the Modern Times, I think, album had come out. So it was just very much kind of a, you know, he was reinterpreting all of his songs, and he started into a song, you're like, well, what the hell is this? You'd only know because when he starts singing the lyrics, then you'd actually recognize, oh, okay, well, you know, he's singing, you know, whatever it was. But anyway.
Let me ask you something, Jeff. And actually, I kind of like to ask all you guys, because now that you're, you know, we're all getting a little bit older, and you seeing somebody like Paul McCartney, and, you know, I mean, I've had that kind of feeling with certain artists I felt. Have you ever had moments where you're at a concert and you get kind of emotional, you know, like a little almost choked up or something at a concert? I mean, to me, I feel like with you that would happen at some particular song that Paul McCartney might play.
Well, and the song that would probably qualify for would be when he did that song Here Today, which was off the Tug of War album, which is a tribute to John Lennon. You know, he does that like acoustically, and that was a song he wrote after John Lennon was assassinated, and he pulls that out in concert, and it's definitely so people will cry, you know, because it's definitely it's a tribute to John. It's very emotional and sentimental. So yeah, there was definitely that moment for me, like when he's breaking into that song that, you know, he wrote right after John was assassinated. He still reveres his old partner after all these years, and, you know, has such an affection for him. There was definitely that moment in that concert for me.
What about you, Aaron? You had it?
I had it once, and it was when Huey Lewis played I Want a New Drug.
God damn it, Aaron.
No, I never really, you know, I was too busy just having fun at concerts. I never really got into
Well, but you
like that.
You don't go to too many concerts now, do you?
No, I went to a ton when I was younger, and if I went now, it'd probably be different.
Yeah, because that's kind of, I don't feel like this happened to me until I got older. And I know that you had told us that you don't go to too many. What about you, Chris?
I saw, and I'm being serious here. I saw Gordon Lightfoot live, and he does "If You Could Read My Mind," which was like his big hit. And the thing is, Gordon Lightfoot really can't sing like he used to be able to sing. And you just see this older guy up there, and you just remember how he was when he was younger. And it's just such a touching song. And yeah, it's you get a little emotional when you hear him sing it.
He needs to have you in the back singing for him.
What is that?
Behind him, singing his songs.
Who's behind him?
You would be. You'd be back there.
Yeah,
singing.
I could be behind him singing his songs. Yeah.
Yeah, the Chris Profi band would be back there backing him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays he goes up on stage and everybody's like, "Isn't that the guy from Breaking Bad? Is that Brian Cranston up there?"
Yeah. Yeah, his voice is shot, and he used to just have the most beautiful voice.
Yeah, I know. I hear him sing now, and I'm just like, oh gosh, man, he should stop.
Yeah, well, he came out with an album called Solo, where he does, literally, that's what it is. It's just him and his guitar singing. But I love Gordon Lightfoot. I can't listen to the album though, because I cannot get past his voice.
Yeah, because he did have such a great voice for the type of music that he did.
Yep.
Yeah, just so expressive.
Yep.
God, yeah, he did have a fantastic voice. And yeah, it is almost sad to hear. He's got like this whispery kind of voice going on now. But I don't know. I just asked you guys that because I feel like I get that way occasionally at concerts now. And I don't know if it's because I'm old. And a lot of times you just have these, that's why probably Aaron, maybe if you would go to some more concerts now, you might have that. You associate so many different things with so many of these songs. And you think of, like, we went, I don't know, a few years ago, we saw a concert. It was Cheap Trick, Joan Jett, and Heart. So, it was a long show. And at the end, Heart was playing. And when they came back out for their encore, I think they did the Immigrant Song. And then they did Stairway to Heaven. And they played the whole thing. And if you've seen them do that on that Kennedy Center tribute thing there, where they played it for Led Zeppelin when they got honored. And, you remember how emotional Robert Plant got when they played that. They played that song. And I don't know, it's just like finishing this all these, hearing all these great songs from all these bands I love. And they're playing Stairway to Heaven from my favorite band. And I just start thinking back of, friends from high school when we were first listening to this song and just all these different things. And I'm just sitting there, and I remember when the show was done, when they walked off the stage, and I was just sitting in my seat like this. And and my wife goes, "Are you crying?" And I go, "No." I was just I wasn't really crying, but I was like, I kind of teared up. I've had a few other moments like that never happened to me when I was younger, but I've noticed as I've gotten older and the artists that I'm seeing are older, I get those moments now. And I was just curious if you guys had that.
Occasionally I do get that a few hours after my Tipsy Tuesday, though. Me hearing an album is like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, when he hears Anthrax saying Indians, he gets a little teary-eyed.
Oh, it's a time.
Especially when they say "Cry for the Indians." Yeah.
When there's certain bands that when you're seeing them, you're never going to see them again. Like, they're not coming.
Yeah, and you're right. That's another aspect of it too. Or a band maybe that you never thought you would see. Mm-hmm. Like it sounds really stupid, but like I took both of my sons, they both still lived at home. We went up to DTE that you mentioned, Jeff, and we saw Black Sabbath. And obviously it's not like Black Sabbath is going to get me choked up, but it was kind of emotional taking my sons to see this band that I had liked since I was like 12, and here they were knowing, I could hear Ozzy's voice, it's like, this is the end. You know, these guys are not going to be around for. They did do one more tour, but it was just there was a moment there where I was like, God, here I am with my sons. I was younger than them when I started liking this band, and there's Tony Iommi up there playing Children of the Grave. And, you know, I mean, it was just so fantastic. And, you know, little things like that get to you that to somebody else, it sounds ridiculous. But I think when you're that much emotionally invested into music, it can have that effect.
Yeah, I think that was probably when I saw Jeff Lynne's ELO 2 years ago. It was number one, a band I never expected to see, because ELO, in spite of the fact that they have a lot of hits in the 70s, they're not all that popular. And I didn't expect them. I know, like, when they were touring the album Zoom that came out in like the early 2000s, like they canceled the tour because they just weren't selling tickets. And so like after 3 shows, they just canceled it. And so, you know, I never, ever expected that they would come around and tour. And then they released their last album and they actually did come around. And, you know, this was, I revere Jeff Lynne. I mean, he's one of, you know, my all-time favorite artists. I love ELO, love all their songs. And just to see him, you know, playing all those classic tracks and never expecting it. I never really thought that, you know, I'd ever see him live. It was, I mean, it's pretty emotional because, you know, okay, well, he's not coming back. It's not like, you know, ELO is going to get more popular, you know. I mean, definitely on the downside of their career. This may as well have been a farewell tour, because I don't see him going out and doing it again, you know, especially, you know, with everything that's gone on since the pandemic. But, you know, it's one of those, I'm very glad I got to see it. I don't know a whole lot of people that have ever seen Electric Light Orchestra, because they haven't toured since, I mean, probably, I don't know, the Discovery album, you know, might have been the last time they ever went on a major tour. So, you know, I consider myself very lucky to have seen that. And I think it was really emotional because of that.
Well, I guess I'm warning you ahead of time, Jeff, because you and I are going to go see Michael Nesmith and Mickey Dolenz, and you know that's it. You know,
oh yeah, sure.
Not, you know, they're not going out again. So
yeah, I'm going to be bawling at that concert.
It was a great show. It was a great
yeah,
show.
I saw him on that last tour that you saw him on. I really enjoyed it. That's why, you know, when they said they was going to do one more, I thought, man, got to hit that.
Now I'm going to ask this question because you guys are musicians and I am not, but you guys have you guys, each of you played live? I know you have, Chris, but Gary and Aaron, have you guys actually played live in front of an audience? And how has that been?
Well, for myself, I probably don't have the experience that Aaron does. I just played at like parties and you know, like a couple free little town festival kind of things, and I played at our local theater, put on a concert once, and there were 2 bands there playing, and I was in that. And I will say, it was more, I never quite really got into the excitement and groove of playing because I probably didn't have enough. It was more just trying to get through the songs. I mean, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't as much as what I thought I would. And so I don't know, Aaron, you can maybe.
I was just a garage band too, so I didn't really play shows or anything. I mean, there was parties I'd play at, and yeah, we just were all drunk and having fun. It was just
I did a lot of that. Yeah, Chris is the one that goes out and actually makes money and plays for people like that.
Put a great show on here in Idaho.
That was fun.
Yeah, he played at my mom's house, just him on guitar. It was fun. He did really good.
I've been playing.
It was better seeing him live than on. I mean, he's good when you see him, but it was
Chris has a lot of charisma, and you tend to get lost in his eyes when you're there with him. So I get that.
Yeah, I've been playing for a long time. I mean, I remember bringing my guitar to like all the high school parties that I went to, and singing songs there. And then in college, I would bring the guitar to the bars, and all my friends would come out, and I wrote songs about college, and that was fun. Even to the point now where when I see my college friends over the summer, they want me to sing all those old songs for them. So they still remember all that. And yeah, I'm putting together a band right now, and we're actually playing this coming Saturday. But it's a little stressful because we're trying to get all these songs together, and we're like, oh, we got to play for 3 hours. So we got to make sure we have enough songs. And, what songs can we stretch out and make a little bit longer? And, it's, there is some stress with it as well. But all in all, it's fun. And when you get up there and you see people smiling back at you and singing along with you, and then after you're done and they come up to you and say, man, you did a great job. That was awesome. I love that song. It just makes you feel really good about yourself. So, and it's just a positive, it's not always positive, but for the most part, it's a positive experience.
That's cool. That makes me think, because like I'm not, like I say, I don't have the experience that Chris does or anything. But we played upstairs at this old like armory type place, and there were people there to see us. Well, we did a few songs, because I actually did write a few songs for this one shitty band we had, and I did this one song that I kind of liked. We played it, and I remember when we were done playing, this young guy comes up to me and he goes, man, I really love that one Metallica song you did. And I knew we didn't play Metallica because we were not good enough to do that. And I'm like, which one are you talking about? And he started singing it, and it was a song that I wrote.
Right. That's cool.
I go, no, I wrote that song. And he's like, really? And that was probably like the coolest thing anybody ever said to me about something like that. So.
It was called All Tolls.
I will have to say though, the guitarist for my band went on to be a singer, and I went and toured with him, and I ran their lights and their soundboard, and they played all the clubs. They played the clubs down in Vegas and all over the place. Opened up for Dirty Looks and Arcade, even Parachutes band after Rat.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. And he had a couple songs he wrote, and I was like kind of the subject matter of a couple of the songs, so that was kind of cool.
Oh.
So, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
thank you for sharing our some very cool concert experiences that we have had. So yeah, it was a fun discussion, and next week we'll have a brand new topic. We'll have JC with us. Who knows? You never know.
Hi, Josh.
Show up.
Miss you, Josh.
Yeah, totally.
Gosh.
All right, everybody, have a great night. Thanks for tuning in, and take care.
See ya.